A Fox News alert, former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is dead after being shot during a campaign speech in western Japan. He was immediately airlifted to the hospital, but officials said he was not breathing and his heart had stopped.
Yeah, doctor says he was bleeding profusely from a wound to his heart. He was given a lot of blood as part of an effort to save his life. The suspected gunman was immediately taken into custody. Tributes, of course, pouring in from around the world, including from former President Trump, who says, quote, absolutely devastating news that former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, a truly great man and leader, has been shot. He was a true friend of mine and, much more importantly, America.
Fox News contributor Lara Trump joins us now. Lara, good morning to you. Former President Trump and Prime Minister Abe met several times when both men were in office, and this is an absolutely unexpected, devastating, tragic loss. What are your thoughts this morning?
Yeah, well, Carly, you said it. It's a tragedy. It's truly horrifying when you see things like this happen. My thoughts immediately went to, of course, my father-in-law, who also is a former leader. And thank goodness he is surrounded by great men and women from the United States Secret Service that keep him protected every day. But, you know, you just referenced the relationship that my father-in-law had with the former prime minister. And I know that he visited Mar-a-Lago multiple times. They respected one another very highly as leaders of great countries. But they also, I do think, had a friendship that developed over the years. They played golf together so many times. I believe the prime minister even attended one of the first lady's birthday dinners unexpectedly. But that's sort of the relationship that they had. And obviously a tragic loss for Japan. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the entire country, our condolences, and truly a loss on the world stage as well. I know that, again, my father-in-law truly respected him as a great leader, and this is a huge loss for him as well.
At a time, Trump presidency, when a number of world leaders avoided the U.S., avoided our country, severed their relationship, Shinzo Abe did not do that. He doubled down with President Trump and really forged a strong bond. What did that bond mean for the U.S.?
Well, I think, look, whenever you have allies around the world that are willing to reach out and make your relationship even better, I think that's always a positive thing. And so I think you look at Japan at this time, and you're exactly right, Todd. This was something that other leaders were maybe afraid to do, but it meant that the United States and Japan had a great working relationship, that there were many visits between these two men throughout the course of my father-in-law's presidency. And that's always a positive thing, I think, for a country, whenever you can be on the same page and work very well together with your allies. So obviously, I think that was a positive thing. And I think other leaders took notes from that, and they said, well, hey, if he's able to do this, then we should be able to do the same thing with Donald Trump, with America. And hopefully they saw him a bit as a leader in that space. Again, another reason that this is just such a tragic loss.
Abe was the longest-serving prime minister in Japanese history. He was 67 years old, and apparently the gunman has been apprehended. Turning now to American politics, and there was an NBC panelist. Her name is Kimberly Atkins-Storr. She's of the Boston Globe, and she warned this. She said a messy primary for Democrats would also be extremely damaging in 2024. What would be best for Democrats would be to find a way to get that energy behind their president, but it doesn't seem right now, especially given the way that some of these other Democrats are essentially running already. That doesn't bode well for him, meaning President Biden. One of those is Gavin Newsom. There's a lot of energy surrounding his name right now. Not a lot of energy surrounding this current president. According to a Fox News poll, just 43% of voters approve of Biden's job as president. So look into 2024 and that warning from this NBC panelist. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we're not even yet to the midterms in 2022, and we're already talking about who will run on the Democrat side when the Democrats hold the White House and it is the first term for Joe Biden, is rather remarkable. But it does tell you just how badly really things are going for the Democrats. And they have no bench on their side when it comes to who could actually pick up the mantle and run with things if It's not Joe Biden in 2024. And obviously the natural progression of things is Kamala Harris, the vice president. She has a historically low popularity rating. She has not even attempted any of the tasks she's been given as vice president. And remember, when she ran for president, she polled so low then and did so poorly, she dropped out before the primaries in her own state. So most people think it's not going to be Kamala Harris. You have Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary, who people like to talk about, nowhere to be found during the supply chain crisis like we've never seen in America before. You have Hillary waiting in the wings. You have Michelle Obama, who people like to talk about. But truly, it is a tough spot for the Democrats right now. They don't have a great bench.
Rock, meet, hard plays for the Democrats. Lara Trump, have a great weekend. Thank you, as always, my friend.